Hello students, this is Mrs. Raksha Shirodkar from Shade Vidya Mandir English High School and Junior College of Commerce and Science. Today we'll continue with the same topic, that is from Computer Science Paper 2 Chapter number 1, Introduction to Microprocessor 8085. Now let us start with the new topic, that is the pin diagram of 8085. This is the pin diagram which contains total 40 pins in the pin diagram. You need to study this diagram by practicing it. So there are total 40 pins in this pin diagram of 8085 microprocessor. On the left hand side you can see 20 pins, and on the right hand side you can see more 20 pins. These all pins have to be in the serial order as it is shown in the diagram. Now we'll see the explanation for this pin diagram one by one. This is the pin diagram. If you see, it contains 1 to 20 on the left hand side, and from the last pin on the right hand side. On the down side, if you see 21 to 40 onto the right hand side of this diagram, we have 20 plus 20, that is 40 pins. Okay, so these pins you have to study and also the explanation. So we'll see the pin diagram explanation one by one. Now the pins, from this pin we will not be going in the serial order as the pins are. We'll be going as you find it easier. The simplest, that is the easiest pin, will start from that pin first, that is 80 to 87 first. Now 80 to 87. AD stands for address data bus. So the bus which I have already explained you all in the previous video of the block diagram of 8085, 80 to 87, there are total, see here in the diagram, if you see the pin number 12 to 19, pin number 12 to 19 is 80 to 87. So it stands for address data bus, and there are total 8 pins of these address data bus, and it is bidirectional. Why? Because it works as address also and bus also, data also. So there are total 8 pins for this particular pins. So hence it is said to be 8-bit again. If you see, now during the first clock cycle of the machine cycle, if you see, during the first clock cycle, these pins will work as the lower half, and the remaining clock cycles these pins will act as data bus. So during the first clock cycle it will work as address bus, and during the next clock cycle it will work as data bus. So hence it is said to be bidirectional. It will do the both job for data as well as address. Address means it will only show the path. Data means it will show you the date. It will take the data from that particular address which has been shown by the address bus. So hence these pins serves as dual purpose for transmitting the lower address and the data byte. So during the first cycle it works as address bus, and during the next clock cycle it works as data bus. Okay, now if you see in the diagram which I have shown in the right hand side, I have marked in red color. See there, 80 to 87, correct? These are the pins which are of 8 bits. So hence it contains 8 pins for this diagram. Now on the right hand side, if you go on to the right hand side, from pin number 21 to pin number 28 stands for A8 to A15, which are only address bus pins. So hence it is unidirectional. These are bidirectional. Why? Because it contains address as well as data. Those are only A pins, so hence it contains only address bus pins. So hence it is said to be unidirectional. So if you combine both these pins, address lines are total 16 lines. So hence it contains, address bus total contains 16 bits in the pin diagram. How? AD0 to AD7, which are nothing but address as well as data. So AD0 to AD7, which is nothing but address pins, 8-bit, and A8 to A15, which are again continuation of AD0 to AD7. That means if you consider these combined pins, it will be address data, and if you separate these two bus, it will be A0 to A7 and D0 to D7. So if you consider separate bus, it will be address bus A0 to A7, and the continuation is on the right hand side from pin number 21 to 28, that is A8 to A15. So total for the address bus we have 16 lines, that is 16 bit we have for address bus in this pin diagram, and for the data bus we have only 8 lines, so hence it is said to be 8 bit bus. Okay, now the next, same I told you all this, A to A15 is unidirectional. Previously we have seen AD0 to AD7 which was bidirectional. This works only as unidirectional because it takes only address bus and not data bus. So these pins carry the higher order of the address bus, and these address are sent from the microprocessor to the memory. Okay, now the next pin is S0 and S1. S0, S1 from the pin diagram which I have shown you all in this particular PPT, that is pin number 29, and pin number 33 is S0, S1, which stands for status signal pins. S0, S stands for status signal pins. These status signal pins, what it does, it tells you the status of the particular operation cycle. That is, can you see the table down there? It tells the cycle, that is operation cycle S0, S1. If both the pins are 0, the operation is halt. If one of the pin, that is if S0 is 0, S1 is 1, it does write operation. If the S0 is 1, S1 is 0, it does a read operation. And if both the pins are 1 together, it will do opcode fetch. That means it will start executing with that particular pin. S1 and S0 both needs to be 1 together, otherwise it will not do any of the operation. Okay, so this table is very important. You need to only write the 2 points for each of the pins which have been asked in the exam. Since each of the pin will carry only 1 mark, they will ask you 3 pins together in the exam. Suppose they ask you AD0 to AD7, S0, S1, A8 to A15. So these 3 pins will give you 3 marks. So each pin will have, you will have to write 2 points at least. So for this you will write S0, S1 stands for status signal pins. These status signal pins will tell you the type of operation which is going on, and the table you need to draw the table which I have shown here, S0, S1, and the operation type. Okay. Now the next pins, these are all pins. So this particular lecture is depending upon the pin diagram and the explanation of the pin diagram. One by one I'll show you all the pins. Now the next pin is externally initiated signals, which you do not need to remember this name, that is externally initiated signals. You only need to study the pins, that is ready pin after the address data pins and the status signal pins. The ready pin, if you see the ready pin is on the right hand side, that is pin number 35, that is ready pin. This pin, this signal indicates that the device is either ready to send or receive the data. That means what it does, ready means what the microprocessor will tell you whether the microprocessor kit is ready to accept the data or to send the data, to receive or send the data. So this pin will only check whether it is ready to send the data which you have been executed, or whether it is ready to accept the data. Okay, so if it is low, low means 0. If this pin is low, that means the microprocessor or the CPU is not ready to accept the data, and if it is 1, that means the microprocessor is ready to accept the data. Okay, accept or send the data. So you need to write 2 points. You can keep 2 points for this particular paragraph. Here I have written only 1 paragraph. So ready, first point you can say that this signal indicates that the device is either ready to accept, that is to ready to receive or send the data, first point. Second point you can say that if this signal goes low, that means if ready pin is 0, that means the microprocessor is ready to accept or send the data, and if it is 1, if this pin is 1, that means the microprocessor is ready to accept or send the data, and if it is 0, the microprocessor is not ready. It will wait until this pin goes high. Okay, now the next pin is hold, which means that this signal indicates that another master, that means some other microprocessor is requesting for the use of the address and data bus. So hold pin, what it does, this signal indicates that some other master means some other CPU or some other microprocessor is requesting for the use of address and data bus. So hence this pin is said to be hold. So it has to wait. Why? Because some other request has come to the microprocessor here in 8085. HLDA, next pin. HLDA indicates, HLDA stands for hold acknowledgement. It indicates that the CPU has received the hold request and it will relinquish the bus in the next clock cycle. Okay, so this is the HLDA pin. HLDA and hold does the same job. If you see, if you want to take the 2 points, I'll say you hold for the hold and HLDA both. Hold, if the hold request has been received by the microprocessor, that means it will stop since other microprocessor has been requested for the use of data and address bus. And second point you can say as the microprocessor will regain the bus after removal of the hold request. That means once this signal has been removed, the microprocessor will continue execution of its instruction or whatever it has been executing currently. Okay, the next pin is HLDA. For this particular pin, you can note the 2 points as, first point you can say as HLDA stands for hold acknowledgement, and second point you can say that it indicates that the peripheral that a hold request has been received and the microprocessor will relinquish the control of the buses in the next clock cycle. That means it will request the microprocessor to continue the bus in the next clock cycle. Now the next pin is external initiated again. The next pin is INTA, which stands for, the first point you can note it down, it stands for interrupt acknowledgement, and second point you can say that a low, when this signal goes low, it indicates the processor has acknowledged an INTR request. That means the interrupt means some signal has been interrupted while executing some of the program which is said to be interrupt. So INTA, you can note the 2 points as INTA stands for interrupt acknowledgement, and the second point as when this signal goes low, that means the processor has acknowledged an INTR request, INTR interrupt, sorry. The next pin is reset in. Now we'll see reset in and reset out together. If you see in the diagram, reset in is pin number 36 and reset out is pin number 3. Okay, so reset in is, there is a bar in that pin, so reset in bar. Okay, bar means on the top of that particular pin there is a bar. That means this particular pin is active low. So when this signal, when the signal on this pin goes low, the program counter is always set to 00. That means the program counter is a particular 16-bit register which tells which instruction to be executed next, which I have already told you all or explained in the previous PPT, in the block diagram. So reset in bar is the pin when when the signal on this pin goes low, the program counter is set to 00H, and the buses will be in the reset condition as long as this particular pin is applied. Okay, so 2 points you will note as when the signal goes low, what this pin does, it will make the program counter 00H, and the buses are also held in reset condition as long as this reset pin is applied. Okay, now the next pin is reset out. Reset out, there is no bar in this, so reset out means you can say it indicates that the microprocessor is being reset. That means it will not perform any operation or execution. It has just gone in reset mode. The microprocessor is being reset and it is connected to the peripheral to reset when the microprocessor should come to the normal mode. So first point you can say that indicates that the microprocessor is being reset. Second point, it is connected to the peripheral to reset them when the microprocessor is being reset. Okay, now reset in, reset out. After that we have the control signal and status signals. Control signals RD bar and WR bar. If you can see in the diagram, in your pin diagram, RD bar is pin number 32 and WR bar, that is right bar, is pin number 31. Okay, now the first point for RD bar you can mention as RD bar, this is nothing but the read control signal and it is an active low signal. Whenever you see a bar on the particular signal, you say that it is an active low signal. Low means 0. So this signal indicates that the selected input output or memory device is to be read and the data is available on the data bus. So what it does, it will only read the data from the either the memory or input output device. So first point you will mention as it is a read control signal and it is active low signal. Second, you can say that this signal indicates that the memory, that is the selected input output or memory device data is to be read by this particular pin. Now the next is WR bar, which stands for write bar. The same point again, first point you can mention as it stands for write control signal. It is also an active low signal now. Second point you will say that this previously read signal used to read the data, this will write into the input output device or memory device. Okay, so the RD bar signal will read from those memory or IO device and this will write into the IO or memory device. Okay, now the next is status signal pin, that is number 1 is ALU. From the diagram if you see, ALU address latch, it is not ALU, it is actually ALE, which is pin number 30 and it stands for address latch enable. Okay, and we will see the next, that is IO/M bar, which is pin number 34. S0 and S1 we have already seen. Again I have written here since it comes in control signals. So pin number 29 and pin number 33 is status signal S0 and S1. Now we'll start from ALE, that is pin number 30. ALE stands for address latch enable. The first point, what you will say, the first point, it stands for address latch enable pin. When this signal goes high, it will make the address bus enable, and when it is 0, it will make the data bus enable. So the job of this pin is to enable the one of the bus. If it goes low, it will enable the data bus, and if it goes high, it will enable the address bus. IO/M bar. Now the next pin, IO/M bar, from the pin diagram if you see, it is pin number 34. So IO/M bar, what it does, it is a status signal pin which indicate either the address bus or the IO device is for memory. Okay, so when it goes high, that means address on the address bus is referring to the IO device, and if it is low, it is referring to the memory device. IO/M bar. M bar, since it is a bar on M, so when it goes low, it will do the memory work, and if it goes high, it will do the IO work, that is input output device. It will take input output device. So the next S1 and S0, as I have already told you, all this pin. See this IO/M bar separately I have written here. These are again from the status signal pin. So IO/M bar, when it goes high, it will do the input output device. It will take input output device, and if it goes low, it will take memory, the address from the input output device or the address from the memory device. Okay, now the next pin from the pin diagram is SID and SOD, which is pin number 4 and pin number 5. SID stands for serial input data, SOD stands for serial output data. Now these two pins, you can say it is the same. The explanation, if you see, it is the same. So the first point, what you will say is SID stands for serial input data. The data on this line is loaded into the accumulator. There is an instruction which is named as RIM, RIM. These all instructions will be studying in chapter number 2 from computer science paper 2. Okay, so the data on this line is loaded into the accumulator when this instruction is executed, that is RIM. And SOD, the first point you will say, it stands for serial output data, and the data on this line is loaded into the accumulator whenever a SIM instruction is executed. So the same explanation you can copy, only the thing is on SOD pin you will write SIM, SIM, SIM instruction, and in SID pin you will write RIM instruction, RIM. Two points. First point, serial input data, serial output data, and second point, you can say the data on this line is loaded into the accumulator only when the RIM instruction is executed, and in SOD you will write SIM instruction is executed. Now the interrupt signal pins. Interrupt signals pin are from pin number 6 to pin number 10. Okay, if you see in the pin diagram, that is TRAP, RST 7.5, 6.5, 5.5 and INTR. These are said to be interrupts. Interrupt means a signal which is coming in between of the execution is said to be an interrupt. We'll see the explanation of the full interrupt again one more time, since they have been asked this question in brief for 4 marks separately, not from the pin diagram. So hence we'll see these interrupts one more time in the next video. So we'll start with the explanation in short for the pin diagram. Number 1 is trap. Now trap, what you can say is, trap is usually used for power failure and emergency, it is shown. So you can say as trap is used to interrupt the microprocessor. The first point you can write by yourself as the signal is used, all these pins, that is these all interrupts are used to interrupt the microprocessor. But among these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 interrupts, we have the highest priority interrupt as trap. So number 1, you can say it is used to interrupt the microprocessor and it has the highest priority among the interrupts. Second, you can say it is unaffected by an interrupt, and also you can say as it is usually used for power failure. So power failure, when a fire detects or when you have emergency shut off, you use this particular pin. Okay, when some fire is detected in the microprocessor kit, you will connect this pin, so it will shut the microprocessor to shut down mode. Okay, you can say that. So next interrupt is RST 7.5. It is a maskable interrupt. A maskable and non-maskable, that also explanation is written in brief. Maskable means you cannot make that particular pin disable. Okay, it is always enabled. So RST 7.5. RST mostly you can start from RST 7.5 as RST stands for restart pin. So this signal is used to interrupt the microprocessor and it is a maskable interrupt. The only non-maskable interrupt among these 5 interrupts are trap. Okay, all these rest interrupts are maskable interrupts. Okay, so it is a maskable interrupt. It has the second highest priority after trap. RST 6.5, you can say it has the third highest priority after this. So it is according to the priority. Trap has the highest priority, then comes 7.5, 6.5 the next, then fourth priority is 5.5 interrupt, and the last priority that is given to INTR, which is the lowest priority among the 5 interrupts. Okay, so you can study them according to the order which is already given in the pin diagram. So these are the 5 interrupts which are mentioned. Now this is the description for ALE, which I have already told you all. ALE stands for address latch enable pin. When this pin goes high, that means it will enable address bus, and when it goes low, it will enable data bus. Okay, now the last pin, that is pin number 1 and 2. If you see, pin number 1 and 2 is X1 and X2 pin, which are also called as, first point you can say they are called as crystal input pins, which are used to generate the clock signals. Okay, so to generate the clock signals internally, we use these 2 pins. You can say only in 2 points as number 1, these X1 and X2 pins are called as crystal input pins. Number 2, these are used to generate the clock signals which are generated or which are usually used internally, and it requires external inputs from the pin diagram, that is pin number X1 and X2. Now the last pins which have never been asked in the exam is VCC and VSS. Rest all pins have been asked in at least 1 or 2 times in the board past papers. So these are the 2 pins which have never been asked. Number 1 is VCC and VSS. As you can see in the pin diagram, the pin number 20 is VSS and pin number 40 is VCC. So VCC indicates that it has been connected to the power supply mode, and when you remove that power supply plug, that means it is connected to ground. So So it doesn't do any job when it is connected to VSS, that means 0 volt, and when it is connected to the plug or power supply is connected, that means it will give you plus 5 wattage power supply. Okay, so these are the pins which we have seen with the explanation. I hope you all study this, as it is a theory chapter. You need to study this along with the diagram and the explanation. Each pins you need to study at least 2 points. Why? Because each pin will carry only 1 mark. They can ask you any 3 or any 4 pins among these 40 pins. Okay, this is very important chapter. You need to study this particular chapter very nicely. Okay, so next time we'll continue with the same chapter with more explanation and diagrams. Thank you.